This podcast is brought to you by Winter Scribbler Publishing, where reality and imagination turn into delicate harmony of scripts and illustrations.
Namaskaar Guys, welcome to WLW Episode 3, Wonderland of Imagination. I hope you guys have an amazing day today. Before we begin, I would like to start this episode with Tumse, Pyar, Karti. Imagination has been part of our life since we are young. It is like where we will seclude ourselves from reality and visualize all the wonderful moments that we want. So Wonderland of Imagination was inspired around December 2015. Here it is for you. That moment when you smiled, inches away from me, flashing your beautiful crystal clear eyes, with that confidence intimidating me, speechless. Meeting new people with confidence, that is my forte. But with you, it was different. Your sparkling eyes, I wondered what color they were. Pretty? Comely green? Mysterious grey? Awestruck by your presence at that mezzanine, walking towards us with grace, my heart mildly lingered to a beat. When you started to speak to me instead of the others, I knew that was the flinch to my worries. The walls that I built, they were not as strong as I thought. I built my confidence within those minutes of opportunity, exchanging curiosity with where you're from, what you're doing here. I noticed that you glanced at me too. I took that chance to eliminate my intimidation towards you. 15 minutes, we talk. I suggested we take pictures, as I did not want you to slip out from my mind and this from your mind. I feel your hand around me, your head rests on mine, your beautiful curly hair sending shivers up my skin. Your touch sneaks through my soul. Moments of that still clear in my mind. When I reached for you a year later, you were gone. It has taken months to years from just those few minutes. Traces of your presence, your smile, overwhelmed my heartbeat. That December, we were meant to meet once and then never. Though the urge to meet you brought me to the places of my dreams, I will never regret. When I reached for you again, you were gone. You knew nothing about this, that is all on me. I knew from the beginning. Avoidance has been the appropriate move. Recklessly, I let your presence illuminate my senses. Imagining the wonderlands of imaginations. Beautiful, yet not possible. This poem is one of those few that was written in more than a page. What inspired me to write these poems in Masterpiece in Your Heart as general? This book was created after meeting one of those people who appeared in my life only like a short moment, but she made a huge difference in some way, more to being like an indirect push for me to go ahead and publish this book. So like being a writer and having a published book is one of my dreams since I was 14. So avoiding beautiful people or whoever that could be too appealing to me is like my go-to formula whenever I socialize, alright? So because the consequences of the talking to them could last long, which sometimes will be too overwhelming and eventually could hurt me in many ways, mainly like heart, like you cannot control, like those feelings that is too uncontrollable. Personally, I was not sure whether I believe in love at first sight, like attracted to someone the moment your eyes met. Is for me very impossible because how could you fall in love with someone before knowing who she is or what is her name? So this poem which I wrote is actually inspired by falling in love at the first sight, or to be safe, attracted to someone at the first sight. This happened when I was visiting Delhi, the capital city of India, about 10 years ago, roughly. And it was during winter in December. I remember that clearly. So I went there with an ex-colleague of mine. We were invited by our colleague who was getting married in Bareilly, one of the states in India. And on one of the days after the wedding, both of us visited this historic monument well known as Rajghat at the heart of Delhi. All right, and Rashkat is actually a memorial dedicated to Mahatma Gandhi. It was like a very cooling day. This moment happened when we were at the second floor of the monument at Rajkav. All right, this place is an open area, right? Imagine this, where from the second floor you can see everything below and beyond the monument. My colleague and I were actually standing and looking around at that spot on the second floor. During that moment, when I turned towards the slope where we came from, I saw this person with a long curly hair. She was wearing a stylish, classy fur-like black coat. She was a tiny bit smaller than us, both of us, so like more to a moderate height, slender, and quite fit. She was actually walking up the slope towards our direction. And then my colleague, who is now considered one of my closest friends, let's call him Harry, he actually bumped my elbow to signal to me to look toward the same moment I was actually already looking at that moment. He said, oh my god, look there, she's so gorgeous. I was like already awestruck seconds before he signaled to me, but I acted as if I didn't notice her before. I mean, like, Harry, don't you know? I can see that my eyes couldn't stop staring at her from the moment she was about 200 meters, 300 meters away from us until she was walking right in front of us. All right, when she was right in front of us, she started to like smile at us already and greeted with a hi. And of course, we responded to her hi. And then she walked past by us. So if I'm not wrong, I was quite blank, frankly. But I was fully aware that both of us, me and Harry, continued staring at her until she disappeared from our sight. We literally were standing and looking at her, and Harry was like, oh my gosh, she's gorgeous. Babe, since that day, I've never seen a gorgeous, stunning woman like that. I've never seen, as of to date, until now, which is already 10 years ago. This happened 10 years ago already, so she is still in the top of the list of the most gorgeous, stunning women I have met in my entire life. I'm not kidding. She's like the real life version of those women you see in movies, and then you cannot stop talking about how beautiful this person is. She looked like those actresses in Hindi movies, especially like a mixed blood, but it's not mixed blood. They are purely Indian, but like different. So that's what I'm talking, like the real life version of gorgeous and stunning.
Visit www.winterscribbler.com for collections of books, poetry, and graphics by diverse talents of artists and writers around the world.
So as usual, as a normal human being who is like already awestruck by a beautiful person, I look forward to see her again there during that short period of time. So for your information, during that time, Rajkath was not that crowded. So there were like less than 30 visitors in the premise. So guess what? We saw her at the center of the monument, but we acted cool, like as if we didn't see her. There was like a small gathering there. They were having some small prayers or some small speech in the middle of the monument, I think on the first floor. So she was there. But me and Harry were like I was like acted cool, like as if I didn't see her. So Harry actually signaled me again when he saw her there, and she said, look. He was telling me, please look. And so as usual, act cool. What do you want to do? Finally, what happened was that at the exit area where we need to collect our shoes because we cannot wear our shoes in that compound, we ended up meeting her again there. So this was like really face to face, like very close face to face. Babes, I'm not kidding. Her eyes, her chin, her cheekbones. No words can describe how perfect those features are, really. Well, again, not surprising. I couldn't speak when... That's the reason I couldn't speak. I think it's like, oh my goodness, I've never seen someone so beautiful as she is. So what happened is that this girl saw us, and this time the smile is of course wider than earlier, and she is more friendly. And then she came to me and speak something to me in Hindi. So she repeated like a few times, "Ek rupee," and I was just like staring at her eyes with no response. I am not kidding. I literally did not respond because I was so struck by her beauty. What happened is that firstly, she thought that I am an Indian. I think I looked like one during that period of time because of my long hair, my wavy curly hair, black hair, So not surprisingly, I got that a lot. She's not the first person who thought that I am an Indian. And secondly, wait, I don't know what is in my second point anymore. Oh, okay. We have to pay to collect our shoes which we left at the storage earlier. So at that time I was thinking like 8 rupee means how much is it? So I was thinking that she was asking me how much is it? How would I know what to reply, right? How much is it? I couldn't. First, I don't know what is it. Secondly, it's because I don't understand what she's talking about. And thirdly, like I say, when you are stunned by someone, you are not able to say anything. Alright guys, just for your information, actually 8 rupee is 1 rupee. I only know this after I came back home and asked my Indian colleagues. Yeah, I know, too late. So Harry offered her some coins while I just stood there like as if I don't understand anything. She then asked my name and you will be surprised that I couldn't even utter a word. Thank you to Harry, he actually replied for me. So I mean, like, have you babes experienced like this before? Like, see a gorgeous woman, you will be lost under their gaze and you couldn't say anything? Yeah, that is what I thought. Do share with me your experiences. I would love to hear your stories. Okay, then what happened after that was that 3 of us walked outside of the compound towards our respective drivers. We chat for a moment while waiting for them. So basically, since I do not want our friendship to end there, what happened is that I suggested to take pictures together. And then from there, I was thinking, that we could still keep in touch, like through Facebook. During that time, I think Facebook was the only main social media that you can keep in touch with someone. So my friend suggested we 3 of us take a selfie, which is literally a good idea because I was thinking like probably, hey, I take with you and then you take with him, then we will share. Then Harry suggested taking it 3 of us together. I am not sure whether is it because she is brought up in a place like London that makes her so cool to take photo as close as possible to someone whom she just met, or is it just her nature to be friendly, Because if I am new to a person or when I'm traveling like that, I will not take pictures with strangers so close like that. Like for safety reason, doesn't matter gender, and also to be, cautious. I mean, you won't know, right? I consider that as one of the shortest interactions in my life that made me think about it for nearly 3 years. I'm not kidding. Honestly, I have no complaints about that because what happened is that I think it is like fated that we meet there. And literally that interactions with someone who is from a country like London and UK brought me to the places of my dreams. Because of that interactions, it actually encouraged me, or I can say give me a push to go to London, Paris and Switzerland as my first solo trip ever. So traveling to those places were my dreams, and if I don't have the bait to go to go to there and meet her in London, I will end up delaying my plans, or I will just like, maybe it's not important, you see. What happened was our plan was to meet each other, but coincidentally, such a coincidence, she was in France. Thinking about it 10 years later, I am glad that we did not end up meeting in London. Okay, what I learned from this beautiful encounter is how there are always reasons we meet with someone in our life, however brief the interaction is, okay? I remember there was one time I was so stressed that I could not achieve the grades B or A for my psychology modules when I was taking my bachelor. And I think I remember I continued my degree during that time, was like a part-time study while working. And I think after 8 years of my diploma, then I study again. So it's like, my momentum is all gone. I have no idea what are the areas that I need to improve. So it was so tense that I felt like crying. Then one afternoon, at one of the Long John Silver's outlets while I was having my lunch, an old woman asked whether she can join me, just a random old woman. And I said, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. She was probably maybe about 70 to 90 years old. So while we were having our lunch, she started talking about her daughter, who was at that time studying in Australia. Her daughter is actually working part-time and studying full-time there. And do you know how coincidence was that her daughter is also taking psychology? Okay, so when she mentioned psychology, I was like suddenly excited. So this woman told me she could see that by my expression that I was like excited. She said that it seems like you suddenly lit up when I mentioned that, she said to me. So she suspected that I am doing something similar to her daughter. What happened was that she shared with me about how her daughter worked through work and school, which is exactly similar to my story. From that moment, all my worries actually transformed immediately from 100 to 1. All right, I am not kidding. It changed me immediately. Then by fate or like universal energy, I'm not sure how does this go. I got to learn something that is I accidentally looked at how a classmate of mine wrote her psychology essay. So I improved mine to see whether it works. Like I twist here and there my wordings. Guess what? Since that moment, my results changed from C or D to A and B's. I'm not kidding, okay? You can check my transcripts. And also, since that moment, I had confidence to write articles, publish it in website, write poems, write anything. Like, sometimes like I'm worried to write something, thinking that probably my grammar will be not good. I'm not confident to express my feelings in writing. And now I even have the I even have like the motivation to write poems and then publish my own books. This kind of encounter like with strangers by random is like common to me. Like I'm not sure whether you guys will have experienced this before. You try to observe. Probably once you observe, you will notice you might have experienced this before a few times. Somehow, somewhere, if like I am disappointed, worried, or my day is bad, I will meet with random strangers in the lift. I can just meet with random people in the lift, like in the lift, or sometimes cab drivers, or sometimes just my neighbors, I don't speak so much with my neighbor except for hi and bye, but sometimes my neighbors would just speak to me and then they would tell me stories which is exactly, the same as mine. And then there will be like somewhat a solution to the story, and when they share it, there is like a positive outcome once they tested it, like they have done it before or they were talking something, and it somewhat like motivate me. And then after that, in an instance, I would just be motivated. Like most of the times, those problems aren't even a problem in the first place, I'm not kidding. It's like it's like just weird. I've overcome this like a lot of time. But like random strangers, I'm not sure how does this goes. Maybe one of you guys know what is this about. But as for this case, this encounter with the such stunning, gorgeous, beautiful girl in Delhi was a drive for me to chase my dream. And it actually reminded me of my actual goal, which I had set when I was 14. That is to travel around the world.
To purchase a copy of the second edition of Masterpiece in Your Heart, visit Amazon.com or www.winterscribbler.com. For any feedbacks and questions, email us at winterscribbler@gmail.com.
Fir milenge dhanyavad. Alright babes, if you have anything that you would like to share again with me about your experiences similar to what I have shared with you, like I say, please feel free to email me. Thank you so much for listening. See you all soon.